So I want to welcome you to Open Space. And for some of you who've been with us before, you're very comfortable with this practice and know what to do. But I realize that we've got a lot of new people that are here. And so I want to ask you to be patient with us as we describe the process to those of you who don't know it as well. So you'll notice behind me on the wall is this blank wall with a bunch of boxes in it. And what we're going to do together is we're going to craft an agenda for this open conversation. And here's what's beautiful about this process is you get to have the conversations you want. You'll have the opportunity to post your idea of something you want to talk about and ask some other people if they'd be interested in joining you in that conversation. Joe's going to help you do that. He's going to help you fill out this agenda and figure out what's the best way to do that. I want you to be comfortable in the chaos, that this can feel a little chaotic as we're starting to do this, and it's actually part of the process. The process is through chaos, we find and we get settled into what really needs to happen for you. Joe's been highlighting, what have we been here, a week now? No, just from yesterday, highlighting that the spotlight is on you. This is truly our favorite part, to watch you have the conversations you want to have. We call this board, if you just imagine this, we call this the marketplace. And I woke up this morning and I was thinking about Sean and his conversation that we had with him yesterday about being a chef. And for some reason, what popped into my brain was a farmer's market. You go to a farmer's market and you find all the ingredients that you might need for yourself. And he talked about it as in foraging. You have the opportunity to forage, to either build on some of the ideas that you heard people talk about, or be the person that brings up that idea that others can join you in the conversation around. So let me tell you a little bit about how we do this. There are really only 4 principles to this, and Joe's going to click the clicker, my gentle cue. So whenever it starts is the right time. Whoever shows up to the conversation are the right people to show up for that conversation. When it's over, it's over. And whatever happens is the only thing that could have. So what we want to say about this time is, don't have an expectation, don't have an outcome in mind, don't think that you have to have something figured out by the time that you're done with it. Have the conversation that you want to have. And to Tane's idea, put the and on these conversations. Not the but, put the and on the conversation.
Okay, so I see some activity over here in our harvest room. Something great just happened. So the cool thing, I just wanted to let you know why these folks are over here at this table. So what's most important about OpenX is the conversations. What's second most important is that you're going to walk out of here today having felt like you were in all of them. Like you're going to have one little taste, some little nuggets, some takeaways from each of the conversations. And my friends and teammates, Paula and Christy and Mike, are going to make that happen over there. So John talked about the 4 principles. By the way, you can follow along on these sheets that were on your chairs when you walked in. This is all you need to know to get you through the rest of the day at RuralX. And there's only one rule around here. It's a really important one. If at any moment the rest of this day you find yourself in a conversation or a situation where you're not contributing to that conversation or you're not learning something in that conversation, then if you're able, get off your butt and go find a place where you can contribute and learn, okay? Now that's sometimes a little tough for us friendly prairie people to hack, but today it's really important, because if we don't do that, then we are letting each other down. If you stay in a conversation where you don't want to be, guess what? Your energy seeps into everybody else. So get up and go find a conversation you want to be a part of. And if there's something over there that you really wanted to be a part of, and you're over here feeling like you're missing it, then that energy is going to seep into the conversation you're having, right? And everybody's going to start feeling some anxiety for some reason. So, what that means is there's 4 different ways to participate in OpenX. The first is, in a moment here, we're going to open up this marketplace that John was talking about and let you create this agenda. We have cards and markers, and it's going to be fun and messy. And you'll have an opportunity to be a host of a conversation, one of the 3 rounds. Name it anything you want and invite others to come talk with you about that thing. It might be an idea that you have. It might be a big question that you want some help trying to search for an answer about. It might be some announcement that you're really excited about and want to share with people. Whatever it is, you can be the host. And we'll tell you how that works when we get to that part. But you could also be a joiner. You can go jump in a conversation. There's going to be a whole bunch of things. We don't know how many. Maybe there'll be 3, and we'll pack into 3 little rooms. Maybe there's going to be 30, and we'll be dividing up into small groups. We're going to see how this unfolds, and you get to pick where you want to go. But the cool thing about that one rule is that you also can choose to be a mover. You can go to this one for a little while, and then I want to go to that one that Deb called, so I'm going to go over here to Deb's for a little while. And then, this is great, but, there's this other one, too. I want to go over here to this one for a little while and listen to Linda, right? So that's a mover, and that's totally okay in OpenX. It's not rude. You just get up and leave, and you just barge right into the room and sit down in the middle of a conversation, okay? But here's the best part, if you're like me, and sometimes you've had enough people for a little while, you need a little break. You can pause. You can go hang out at the Bank West Fireplace or the Hampton Hangout or the Core Trust Coffee Shop or the quiet room downstairs or go into the meditation room downstairs. Whatever you want to do. Or go to the coffee shop down the street by the Corn Palace or go down to Zesto's and have some ice cream. Yes, Zesto's is pretty great, by the way. So you can host, you can join, you can move, you can pause. And when you pause, guess what happens? Somebody else is pausing too. And all of a sudden, oh, hey, I've been wondering about this thing. She has all the answers. Great, so we just called a new OpenX session right there in the hallway. And if that happens for you, then scoot back in here, grab a little harvest worksheet that Paula and Christy have over there, and jot down the notes, because we all want to hear about those great ideas, okay?
So you have to show up with courage in order to be somebody who calls a session. And the other thing that you have to keep in mind is if you leave today thinking, I wish we would have talked about X, there's one person to blame. Who is that? It's you. If there's something that's burning in you that you really want to talk about, that's on you to call it. The truth is, probably your idea may be something that somebody else wants to talk about as well. But a lot of times people worry about this when they think about calling one of these. If I call one of these sessions and puts it up here, what if nobody comes to the session and I'm all by myself?
It happens.
You just talk to yourself. My grandma used to say it's okay if you talk to yourself as long as you don't answer back, is what she used to say. But here's what it is. We find it that sometimes some of the greatest things that end up on our harvest wall over there is somebody who had some private, quiet time to think through their idea. So the truth is, there may be something churning in you right now, and it may be something that's really great for you and your community, and maybe others don't want to join that conversation, but how often do we give ourselves the gift of time to actually do a little thinking around it in this fast-paced world? So we're giving you permission to think about that. The one thing that we would ask is that you harvest what was the learning that you had from that thought process that you had with yourself so that we can reap the benefit We can forage from your ideas about that you've been thinking about and put it up there. So what we say to you is, and then you can decide to have a little thought time, and like Joe was talking about, wander to another conversation. But we want to challenge you, if you end up in a conversation and you're the only one there, don't be embarrassed about that. Don't decide I need to go somewhere else where people are. Tell yourself, do I want to have some more thought around this? And is it worthy of me taking a little quiet time?
Here's the best thing about the harvest. Besides that you get to go over there and find out what they were cheering about a few minutes ago. When you walk out of here, all the notes from all the meetings that have happened, the knowledge camps, the keynotes that Jamie has been graphic harvesting over there, and the notes from the sessions that you will participate in, that you will name and call today, all of it will be available to you in a PDF that'll show up in your inbox before you even get home. So you will be able to have a sense of everything that has happened, every conversation that has taken place here at RuralX. I don't know about you, but that's pretty awesome in my head. Okay, so how does this work anyway?
He's the nerdier one of us, in case you didn't figure that out.
I wear that badge with pride. So in just a moment, I'm going to move that microphone right here. And I'm going to open this space up for you to come name the sessions that you want to talk about. There's white cards here and black Sharpies for you to use. And what you're going to do is you're going to come up here and you're going to say, hi, my name is Joe. And I want to have a conversation about composting worms because I think there's a really great economic opportunity in rural communities around worms and worm farming. I'm not sure there is, but that's just an example. Okay, and then I'm going to write that on this card. I'm going to come put it up here, and I'm going to choose. Do I want to be in round 1 before lunch or round 2 and 3 after lunch? Okay, and then I'm going to pick a room. And we have a bunch of them, right? We have the Empower Room and the Opportunity Room and the Bank West Fireplace and the Hampton Hangout all up here on this level. We have the Reed, actually Touchstone Energy Reed Fund Room, but that didn't fit on the sign. The Reed Room, the Dakota Room, Dakota Bank Room actually, on the main level. We have downstairs in the lower level, if you haven't ventured down there yet, there's a couple of great big fun rooms down there that are actually for the little kids, which is where I like to hang out. So there's the kids stage in the rec area. And then there's this blank one. Let's just say that you decide, yeah, those are all nice rooms and stuff, but I'm thinking Zesto's. So let's have our meeting at Zesto's down the street and have some ice cream. Totally cool. You can do whatever you want. This is OpenX, after all. So have that meeting wherever you want to have it. If we run out of space, we'll keep adding until every card that wants to be up here is up here. Okay? So here's the thing. When you write on these cards, just one topic, right? So we're going to invite you to be thinking about what questions, ideas, and possibilities you want to explore about thriving rural communities, but you only get to put one of those questions, ideas, or possibilities on a card. Now, if you want to call more than one session, there's 3 different rounds. So you can fill out 3 different cards if you want to, but you only get to put one per card, and you come put it up here. And you're going to write that topic in 3 to 7 words. No less than 3, no more than 7. We're going to do a little math. I'm sorry, but 3 to 7. 3 to 7 words. Here's why. Fewer than 3 words, nobody's going to know what in the world you really want to talk about. More than 7 words, you're probably putting more than one topic on that card, right? Okay, last thing, we're going to ask you to write nice and big like this so people can see it when they don't have to come right up to the wall to read it, and to use the Sharpies, okay? Make sense? Yes. So when you fill these out, if you would also add your name, that will be helpful as people try to remember. But the cool thing is, after you fill these out, and we'll explain this a little more, Paula and Christy are going to give you all the stuff you need to make sure that you host that meeting well over there, okay? So we'll send you over there after we complete this wall. We'll figure out all the next steps, okay? Okay. All right. Are you ready to do this? So I'm going to put this mic here. I feel like I'm, like on a movie or something, it's like, boom, and this is when we start. That's what I'm going to do in just a second. So when I put it down, it's go time. Okay? When I do, come on up here, fill out your cards. As you fill them out, before you put them up on the wall, if you just stand right here, hold your card and say, my name is Joe. I want to talk about compost worms in rural communities. I'm going to put it up here in the opportunity room, okay? Say that into the mic so everybody can hear you. Come put it where you want to put it. And then just kind of hang out a little bit up here because we might have some shuffling to do, okay? But don't stand in front of the wall so that everybody else can see it. Make sense? Here we go. OpenX is open.
My name is Deb, and I want to talk about your big brag. What cool things have happened in your town?
Clint Brown, I want to talk about barriers to entrepreneurship in small town rural communities. I'm going to be in the power room, session 1, if I can beat Deb.
None of them. Seriously? But you could say the lobby. You could. Yeah. So,
You want to go ahead?
what I do is.
Hi, Nancy, and I would like to talk about output versus outcomes, being busy versus making an impact.
My name's Angie, and I want to talk about providing rural workforce housing in your communities.
My name is Judy, and I want to talk about creating space for makers and doers.
I'm Paula, and I want to talk about learning how to do a peer-to-peer audit of your website.
Thank you.
My name is David. I want to talk about strategies to help communities embrace diversity.
You want to talk about
I'm Lori. I want to talk about community marketing for workforce recruitment.
I'm Andy, and we're going to talk about reimagining rural chambers of commerce, and we're doing it at the North 40 right after lunch.
North 40 is where my dad plants his corn. Did you mean the back
Andy.
40? Okay.
Andy stole my word because I'm talking about reimagining small community infrastructure. Read.
My name's Ron Wagner, affordable home ownership housing, and there'll be opportunity room.
My name is Andrew Reinertz, and I'd like to talk about arts as economic development in rural communities.
My name's Joe Batchelor. I want to talk about what the future of ag is.
Let's take just a little bit of a pause. I'm not stopping any ideas. It just feels like we've got a lot of them up here real fast. So let's just real quick, I'm going to read through them, and if you need any clarification by what the person meant, maybe you want a quick nugget. And for those of you who might do clarifying, I'm going to ask you for the Twitter version, not the whole novel, right? Just a tiny snippet to it. So we've got up here barriers to entrepreneurship, strategies to help communities embrace diversity, output versus outcome, busy versus impact, affordable home ownership and housing, your big brag, what's the future of ag, creating space for makers and doers, rural workforce housing, reimagining small community infrastructure, how to do a P2P audit of your website, community marketing for workforce recruitment, arts as an economic development, and reimagining rural chambers. Is there just a tiny snippet of clarification that you need on any of those? Let me just do a quick check. How many of you, by raising your thumb, sounds like there's an idea up here or something you'd like to go to? Let's just check that. Yeah, oh, so we're doing good. Okay, so now I want to go back to a little bit of pause, because my hunch is there's a few more ideas that people want to bring forward. I just want to be sure we had a bit of a pause on the ideas that were there. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Beth. I want to talk about how we share the care with all of the the church ladies and everybody working in these rural communities. When somebody gets sick or somebody needs support, to talk about a system that makes that happen and work in rural communities.
Okay, I'm Joan from Clear Lake, and I have a concern that was there a few years ago, and now it's back, and I heard 10, 15 years from now how transportation is really going to change, and we don't know what's out there. So mine is about ride shares and how we're going to help save our economy in our rural, getting to Daktronics or getting to Sioux Falls and sharing the cost.
I want to jump in just for a moment because Lori over here has a really wonderful question that I wanted to bring to the whole group. So she said, there's this thing that I want to talk about and Dave wants to talk about, and maybe it's about the same thing and maybe it's not, but we want to go to each other's sessions. So what do we do if it feels like it's just one thing? So here's the thing. You can move these around any place you want. You can combine them if they're really, truly the same thing. My caution is sometimes people think, oh yeah, that's pretty close, and they put them together, and they get there in that room and realize, crap, these are really different. And so then we have divergent conversations. So the only rule I'll give you about this wall is you can move the card wherever you want as long as you put it there first. Okay? So you can get together and say, oh, Clint and Paula might get together and say, hey, I don't even know what these are, but what do you think about doing this? And if Clint says yes, then Clint can move his card up here with Paula's. But only Clint can move his card. Okay? Make sense? Did I answer your question, Lori? Okay.
So let's hang on a second. I know we had another one that was starting to write before we start to move anything.
I want to learn about Webster's Workforce Development Program. I'm not from Webster.
Effort. Are you recruiting, Dave?
Hi, everyone. I'm Lori, and I want to discuss building youth involvement in community.
Hi, I'm Julie, and I think we should discuss economic development and rural development at the legislature.
I'm Kirsten, and I want to talk about supporting local food and farmers markets.
And you want Sean to come to that session, right?
He might be busy cooking for us.
Hi, I'm Linda, and I don't want to host a session, but I want to put in a plug for all these little cards you see laying around. If you're having fun at this conference, there's a similar, not a similar, but different. There's a conference in North Sioux City, Nebraska, South Sioux City, Nebraska, on September 5th. It's noted on this card. It's rural communities telling their success stories, and it's just a big series of breakouts with a couple small keynotes. And I just wanted to put in a plug, pick one up, and think about it. It's a one-day conference. Yep, it's like 8:30 to 3:30, and you get free Blue Bunny ice cream if you stay till the end.
Nice plug, board member Linda.
Excuse me.
My name is Jamie, and I'm in Lead, South Dakota. How do we connect by the tools that we have to our tribe, our people? So I want to produce a healing center in my community, but how do I find my people? How do I get that? So.
Okay, this is a team effort. Dave wrote it, but I'm going to put it up. We want to talk about developing a statewide association for economic development professionals. Where do you want it? Last one?
It's here. We have one of these fancy little pins. Only staff and board members get them. Downstairs for you.
So we'll take just a tiny bit of a pause. I've often learned that sometimes the quiet souls that aren't as quick to jump to the front have an idea that they'd like to do but haven't quite formulated it yet. So we'll pause for just a minute in case there's somebody else has got an idea that they'd like to put up here.
So I count 20 sessions up there. And I might be off by one or two, but I think there's 20 different sessions up there. That's awesome. What an explosion of rural shapers up here on our wall. So now I'm gonna ask for your help probably with a little bit of math, because we gotta figure out when these sessions are gonna happen. So here's our constraints. We have this amazing guy, you might have heard of him, Chef Sean Sherman. He's downstairs finishing up the prep for an amazing feast that he will tell you all about at noon sharp. So that's in the Sanford Health Dining Hall on the main floor at 12 o'clock sharp. So wherever you are in your conversations, if you want to be part of that lunch, then you need to make sure that you can get to the dining room by noon, okay? So I'm just going to remember the guidelines that John shared. When it's over, it's over. That means you don't have to go as long as the time says, and you can go on if you want. It's up to you. It's open space. But we're going to start lunch at noon, with or without you, okay? So that means I'm just going to put that this is going to end at 11:50. How's that sound? I already scribbled on our wall. And that means that lunch is going to take us till probably 1 to 1:15 or so. So I would suggest that we start the second round at 1:30. Okay? Where's Ty? What time do we have to be back here? Oh, Ty's not in the room. Can somebody tell me the schedule? 3:30? Okay, so that means the last session needs to end, let's say, by 3:15, so we can actually get in this room and finish our day strong. So help me do some math. What time is it now? Roughly 10:30. Oh, we have great amount of time for this first session. So let's say we start this around 10:45-ish. That gives you about a full hour for that first session. Second round, we'd start at 1:30, and if we go till 2:15 and then start this one at 2:30, that gives you 45 minutes for each of those sessions. Does that work for you? And remember, these are guidelines because it starts whenever it starts. It's over when it's over. Whatever happens is the only thing that could have happened, and whoever shows up are the right people.
So what's great about that, about what Joe just said, the one caution that we would throw to you, if you've called a session and it's one of these times, and you end up being engrossed in a deep conversation with the other ones, we just ask you to show up for the session that you called at the time that you called it.
And when you leave this room, if one of those cards has your name on it, then I have one job for you. It's to go over there and visit Mike. He's your man, because he's going to give you just need to tell him which room your meeting is in, and he's going to hand you one of these. It looks exactly like this thing on the wall. On the back, there's space for you to write the topic that you're going to talk about, and a piece of tape that they're going to hand you over there, so that when you go to that room, you can put this, so people remember what the topic is that's going on in that room at that time. Make sense?
And why that's important is for the wanderers, if they end up coming a little later and they don't know what the topic is, you help them with the topic. So you'll write exactly what you put here on the back of that piece of paper.
The other thing that Mike and Christy are going to hand to you are a couple sheets of paper that will help you with the harvest. Now, this is the important part. If we want this whole book of harvest thing to work at the end, that means somebody has to take some notes in your session. We'd also like to know who showed up for that session, because sometimes we get a call or an email from somebody that says, hey, I was in this thing at OpenX. somebody had this really wonderful idea. I can't even remember who was there. Can you tell me who I should contact about that? And we can say, yes, we know who was in that session. Here are the people you can contact, okay? So a sheet of paper that has a guideline for you to take some notes and a sheet of paper to sign up who's there. All right, any last questions about how this is going to work before we turn you loose? What a wonderful question. So the question was, would it make sense for us to even things out a little bit and move some things from the first round to the second or third rounds? So if your name is on one of these cards, and now that you've seen what's up here, you want to move things around a little bit, I want to give you a minute to do that. So come on up if you want to move one of your cards to a different time slot, different location, anything like that, okay? Take this with you. Okay. We're going to leave this, go ahead, there's still time to move things around. We're going to be leaving this wall up until 3:30, okay? So when you come back here at 3:30, remember, we're going to meet in this room, butts in seats, at 3:30 p.m., okay? There's some coaching going on up here about where things should go. That's okay. This is OpenX. Okay? So 3:30 p.m., please be back in this room. Here's the thing, though. You're on your own until then. We're not going to be coming around reminding you. Now, Ty's nice enough. She's going to send you a text if you signed up. But John and I are not going to come around and say, okay, it's time for the next thing. We have the time frames up here. Lunch is at noon. We're going to meet back here at 3:30. Okay?
Can I ask one favor? I've seen it happen in the past. You get engrossed in these great conversations, and then when the wrap-up happens, a whole bunch of people aren't here. Here's what I want this to be wrapped up really well. So we want you to come back at 3 o'clock so we can make some sense of what's been happening in these 2 days, and you're all part of helping contribute for that. So I'm going to ask you very kindly not to decide to bolt after that last session because you're full of ideas. Bring those ideas here so we can make some sense, because some of the things that you've been coming up with might be something that someone else needs to hear as well. So I'm going to ask you to show up here again at 3:30.
Besides that, who in the world would want to miss Tane Danger's keynote talk? So I made a mistake just a minute ago. I said meet back here at 3:30. That's wrong. Meet downstairs in the big at the Bush Foundation stage at 3:30, where we'll make some sense of these conversations. We'll bring this wall down there to remember, and then we'll roll right into Tane's keynote to close out our day. You don't want to miss it. Come on, it's Tane. Okay, we'll see you at 3:30.
Yeah. Some people are taking pictures in case you want to look at it. That might be a good idea. Don't forget to have a little fun.